gonna be the judge of this.
It's
Hello, monsieur. I'm gonna react to Joe Biden. It is time. It's time to react to Joe Biden. Hello, Emily S.
my fellow Americans. I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space,
A lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people have said that he should have been like more aggressive, attacked Trump more in this speech, than that he did a very lackluster thing. I don't know. I feel like at this point he didn't have to be aggressive towards Trump. Like all he had to do is I'm leaving gracefully and I'm passing the baton to Kamala Harris, and from that point on she can be as aggressive against Trump as you know as she wishes, because she's basically the one competing against him, right? Like there's not even a point of him attacking Trump at this point. It would potentially just sound petty and weird, you know? I might be out, but Trump is a jerk, you know?
I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents.
Is he gonna name Trump among those extraordinary presidents?
Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham
Which one candidate seems to be forgetting?
Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title.
He even tweeted that sentence. I saw him tweeting this sentence earlier.
I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that.
So I guess he's basically just saying this is more than about me. It's my time is up. It's time for me to step down, you know. This is not an ego trip. If need be, I have to.
And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that?
Oh, he made a little bit of a, he had a little bit of a bump here, but he overcame it. Yeah, I saw this. It was like a popped up recap of his term, U.S. nationalism, founding father stuff. Young people at the time is now.
Does character in public life still
I don't know. I don't see that as necessarily bad.
matter?
Like, I did my bit, my time's now up, and now it's up to the next person, you know?
I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this, we are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to all.
Unlike me, I'm Polish, so I'm horrible people. I'm not American. This is not towards me. I'm terrible people.
Always level with you, to tell you the truth. The truth, the sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much, a cause of American democracy itself, must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way
See, there you go. It's not about me, it's about the future of this country.
forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life.
It's like Naruto. The next generation takes on the fight.
There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices.
I
Yes,
mean, technically speaking, Kamala Harris is not that new of a voice, but I know what he means.
younger voices. And that time and place is now.
Younger being the operative word, not necessarily young. Younger.
For the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy.
And
I'll
Ukraine.
keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for
True.
political violence
No place.
or any violence ever, period.
True. Wait, no
I'm gonna
violence.
keep
You're not gonna support Ukraine anymore?
speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence,
Oh.
our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy. Supreme Court reform.
Yeah, Supreme Court needs a little bit of a change because things have not been great, that's for sure. And the Supreme Court.
You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations.
But the US is sort of participating indirectly in wars.
To stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing
So you could say that the US is not at war, but it's certainly involved in wars.
the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock.
That's not happening so far, especially since Netanyahu does not want the war to end anytime soon because, you know, he's on thin ice. As you may or not know.
Bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration.
Wait, is this a reference to the U.S. journalist that has been imprisoned in Russia for 16 years for supposedly spying for the CIA? Is that what he's referring here to?
That day I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. We came together as Americans. We got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today, we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities.
Is that true?
Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after
I've heard a lot of positive things about the CHIPS Act, that's for sure. So I guess I can agree with the CHIPS Act.
all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors.
By the way, in Poland, as I've said, after a certain age, some medicine just becomes free. As I've said, I think last stream, my mom went to the pharmacy. She took some prescriptive medicine and she was like, so how much is it? And the pharmacy lady was like, you pay nothing. It's zero. You know?
And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just
Zero.
seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years.
What is it depending on the age whether you pay? Because at some age you count as a senior. And seniors don't pay for a certain medicine, that's why. It's basically the same principle as Biden is saying here. I'm trying to lower the price of medicine for seniors. And in Poland it's not lowered price, but because the assumption is like the assumption is that when you reach a certain age you don't work anymore, you just have your retirement money, and I guess the assumption is that seniors should not be spending that retirement money to get medicine, right? That they should be spending it to enjoy life, etc., not to, you know, get the thing that they need to keep living. You know, I assume that is the thought process, right? Sort of. So it's considered less of a burden on the country for younger people to pay some. Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, if you want to go that route, medicine should be cheap for everyone, or even free for everyone, if you could sort of make it work somehow. Because technically speaking, health should not be paywalled to begin with, but you know, if that's basically where you were going with the question, then I guess, yeah. I guess I agree. I will agree. That's the ideal. Health should not be paywalled. But then you'd have to sort of create some sort of a system in which you would be able to provide medicine for all that need it without payment. So, and the question is, how would that be done?
Today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration.
And Poland has a medical worker shortage, right? Yes. Actually, some Ukrainian people have filled that role. Medical professionals from Ukraine have come to Poland and are working here.
Left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court.
A lot of people that were taking care of my mom in the rehab center were Ukrainian.
Of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago.
Does Poland incentivize immigration for doctors? And I believe so, actually, yeah. I actually believe it does.
Because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are.
Poland actually incentivizes a lot of people to come study medicine in here. A lot of people from many countries come to Poland to study medicine because the medical university in Warsaw is pretty good. It has a pretty good level, and at the same time, it's much cheaper than in other places. So it's like for many people from abroad, it's a win-win, basically. It's a pretty high standard, and it's much cheaper than in some places.
Was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Life, liberty.
Well, I'm not created equal, because I'm not American, so apparently I'm not created equal. Because so that speech only, that only works for Americans, because that's a speech for Americans. But me being Polish, I wasn't born equal. At least until I obtained my American citizenship. Until then, nope.
Pursuit of happiness.
In my heart, you're an honorary American. Thank you. I don't have family in Texas, but I think I've already mentioned my family in Texas.
We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future.
True.
I made my choice.
By voting for Kamala Harris.
I made my views known. I would like to thank.
And for that astronaut as vice president, right? Is the astronaut gonna become the vice president nominee?
Our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it.
True.
Whether we keep our republic is now.
Otherwise, it will become an empire, like with Trump. The assassination attempt has left me scarred and deformed. And Trump will establish the first empire, which is actually not the first empire, but but he will. The first galactic empire, Operation Warp Speed.
In your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States.
I mean, in Poland, an electrician became president, so.
Here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary men.
I don't know. I don't know if the US is actually a country of dreamers. I believe that dreamers have been pretty shafted. I believe that the bipartisan thing that he wanted to do with the Republicans have left the dreamers pretty neglected. So I'm not 100% sure if I agree that the US is a country of dreamers. There you go. I made a little reference. How was that? How was that for a political reference? Hmm?
America is doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how
No,
great.
I'm actually referring to the Dreamers. You know, the Dreamers, the group of people. Almost at the end of the speech.
The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule. The people do. History is in your hands.
Unless it's me, because I'm not American.
The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands.
Not mine.
You just have to keep faith, keep the faith. And remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
And good night.
Thank you.
All right, that was it. I mean, some people said that he should have been more aggressive on Trump, but I'm not sure if I agree. I think that's fine. I think it was fine. My time's up. It's fine. It's time for me to step down. You're all great. I believe you'll make the right choice. I believe you'll vote for the person that'll take over, because the alternative is bye bye to democracy. That's basically what he said. And I think that's fine. He didn't have to go harder. There's no point of him going harder. It's the job of the person that takes over, Kamala Harris, to go hard. He just doesn't need to. There's just, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll correct me in the chat in a moment, as I'm gonna go to the toilet and grab something to drink. You're gonna correct me. No, actually, he should have gone super hard, because reasons that you will provide in the chat, right? But until then, I'm gonna go, and then we're gonna discuss some trans topics, because I'm a trans streamer, and it's basically impossible for a trans streamer not to discuss at least some trans issues. Wouldn't you agree? At least I think it's sort of like a mandatory thing for a trans streamer to talk about trans things. At least, I don't know, at least a little bit, right? Oh, it's a treat. Okay, I'll be right back.